This video does talk about how to find sum of each row or each column from the two-dimensional array. We learn how to declare a two-dimensional array. So in each two-dimensional array, that means you have multiple one-dimensional array. So we can find the sum from one-dimensional array. How can we find the sum for each row or each column in the two-dimensional array? So that see here is the output we have from example 9. Example 9, we declared two different two-dimensional array. So you can either declare them like this, or here is you can have the outer curly braces. So then each row you have an inner braces. Or you can have that in one braces. So in the peer talk here, I give you the example. I want you to try, can you replace these two declarations from your example 9? So you will see the output is the same. Like we say, the inner curly braces is highly recommended, but they are optional. So as long as we declare how many rows and how many columns, so the compiler will see how many columns in a row. So they will make the inner braces to separate that into 3 different rows. So the same thing as the table 2. As long as we decide how many numbers in one column, so then you see 4 numbers as a column in a row. So that's why compiler will be separate with 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, and 4 row in the two-dimensional array. So no matter which declaration, we can see the two array will display like this. So here is the box. That's the content of table 1 we display. And here the second box is we have from the table 2. We have each row 4 columns. Table 2 we have 4 rows. So here we want to continue because sometimes we want to display the content of the row, the content of the two-dimensional array. But also a lot of time we want to have the subtotal for each row. So what we will do here is, how can we modify our show array function? I want to display the content of the two-dimensional array, not only each element. And also here in each row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first row. Then the next one, I want to continue to display the total of this row. So you can see 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equal to 10. So then the same thing, the second row, I have 5, 6, 7, 8. When we add them together, become 26. So then the next one, you can see 9 plus 10 plus 11, 12 will be 42. So that will be the same thing. That's how our 100, 260, 420, and 580, we get the number because we got the sum for each row. More than that, we can continue to see. You see here is each column, right? So I also want to display the column total. 1 plus 5 plus 9 become 15. 2 plus 8 plus 10 become 18. So all those sum of each row or the sum of each column, actually we can using the for loop to help us to do. So in this video, we will see how can we modify our example 9. So then we will update the show row function to display with the sum of each row. Then we do the sum of each column. So that's the first thing let's do. How should we display the sum of each row? Let's think about how we do that. If you remember, when we do the show arrow function, we have nested for loop. So we have the outer loop for the I equal to 0, I less than the number of rows. Then the inner loop for each row, I have the column start from 0. Then we have the y less than the column. So we can see here, this box actually display came from here. That's our nested for loop, right? So continue to update this nested for loop. How can we add the sum of each row next the display of each row? How can I add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 become 10 here? How should I do that? So can you imagine how you will modify this two-dimensional array? Okay, good. So actually what we should do is, you can see, right, the outer loop control which row. So when I x equal to 0, right, so then we are processing this line. So when x equal to 0, so y start from 0, then less than colon. So that's why you can see x equal to 0, y equal to 0, that's 1. So then x continue equal to 0, y plus plus. So 0, 1, that's the 2 display. Then 0, 2 is 3. 0, 3, then that's 4. So on the other hand, in the inner for loop, I can display 1, 2, 3, 4 in each iteration. On the other hand, if I want to add the sum here, I need to have what? Right, so I just accumulate the sum inside my inner loop, right? Wonderful. So let's go back to see our show array function. So now I want to show you in the IDE. Okay, so here is our example 1, but I duplicate become 9.1. So what we will do is, here I still keep the show array function. But that's it. With the show array function, we change become sum of row. So here, besides, I will continue to display the content of each row and column. But also at the same time, I want to add the sum of each row at the end. So that's why here we can reuse this function. So this function is the same thing. Since earlier I copy over, right? So I want to show you how can we change this show array sum of the row to modify. I can display like earlier we show you in the PowerPoint file. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's originally show array function. So how can I get 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equal to 10 to display next to the 4? So then how we see here, right? You see, because 1, 2, 3, 4, actually I display from this line 42 for each iteration. So that's very important. We reuse this iteration. So I can get the number 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So on the other hand, I can add to the sum. So that's why here we need to have a total. So that's why here you see each iteration. Afterward, I should have a total number. So this total number, I need to continue to accumulate it from my each element, right? So that's why here, that's the place I should add to the sum. But this sum, you see here, each iteration I will add to the value, right? So that's why where I should declare the sum. Right, so I should declare this sum actually is outside this inner loop. So that's why here you will see, right, so this one, my sum here, remember all the time we need to declare our sum and to initialize equal to 0. So that's why you see each outer loop. When I have a new x value, that's initialize our sum, then assign to 0. So then when they go to this inner loop, each iteration, so then they will add the new element to the sum. So then you can see here, besides I display 1, 2, 3, 4, then after I add new line, not new line, the new line for the sum plus equal to the sum, I accumulate 1, 2, 3, 4 to the sum. Good. So then here, after I got my sum equal to 10, right? Where should I display? Right, I should display before this line I finish have a new line, right? So that's why here, after I have the sum accumulate in my inner loop, Right, so then continue. Before I have my end of line, I should just continue to display. See the same thing, that's have the space for the sum. So here, because I set width 4 for each element, so then I can set the width 4, then I display the sum. So then you see here the end of line, then I will display the sum again. Okay, so that's here in the inner loop, I accumulate for each element. But before I want to display the sum, I should finish the inner loop. Then I display before the new line. So then we will see here. Then we have both functions, right? You can compare. But now here, when I show array, I don't call the show array. I call the show array my new function, sum of the row. So then you will see the output will be a little different. Okay, so the same thing, sum of the row. Okay, so then here, yeah, see earlier we have the table 3. Let's remove the table 3. Also, we only display these two table. Okay, so now you can see here, if we call the new function, then our output will display. Before we only have until 1, 2, 3, 4. So now you see each row, I have my subtotal. Okay, so that's the how to find the sum for each row. Okay, good. So continue. So now we get the sum for each row, right? Actually, now we need to do more is here. Yeah, so you can see the row, total of the row can be in iteration at the end of each inner loop. But here the column will be a little different. Because you can see, because if we're using the for loop, we need to finish this line, this line, this line. So then every time I have one iteration, I have the 1, I need to add 5, need to add 9. 2, I need to add 6, add 10. 3 and 7 add 11. So that's why actually when we add each column, they are not really only in one inner loop. They actually have multiple columns from different inner loop. So actually in each outer loop iteration, I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4 different sum. Keep counting. So that's why here, when we want to get the column of the sum, will be a little complicated. So that's why here they are not in each loop. So now if I want to find the show array sum of row and with column, then here actually we need to have not only a total, like earlier we showed you the sum. Now we also need to create another one-dimensional array. This one-dimensional array we call column total. So that one-dimensional array is what we want to save for those values. 15, 18, 21, 24. They are the total for each column. And also we have the grand total here. So that's here you will see I need to have that because each time I want to add 1, 5, and 9, they came from different inner loop. So that's why we need to save that column and the number to keep the total here. So then here I declare one column, one-dimensional row. So then they have the number is column plus 1. I initialize to 0. So then what we will do here is, you can see in the inner loop, I still can accumulate the total. But this total is the total of the row. So in here, each inner loop, I have the total. That's the total for each row. But here, this one is the total. Like I say, you see here, because each time, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. But 1, I need to go this one. 2, I need to go this one. 3, I need to go this one. So each time I do the inner loop, they have different column total need to be accumulated. So then this one we will add to here. So each column total I need to add is came from the X and the Y here. According to my same Y and the same column total. So that's why I get the column total here.